So, Maxime Bernier's statements about multiculturalism and diversity, this is interesting because when you look at other minority groups, the ones that choose not to integrate, whether you look at Chinese who kind of cling to their, and I'm talking about not necessarily second generation, because from a second generation standpoint, we all integrate. But when you look at the first generation, whether it's Chinese or various other Asian countries, whether it's, Cambodian, Vietnamese, Korean, whether it's countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, whether it's Latin American, South American communities. But I think it's something that you have to exclude blacks from. So the non-black immigrants, the ones who don't integrate, and even black immigrants, those who don't integrate, maybe overall they have a better experience, meaning because of their half in, half out standpoint, they contribute to the country economically. They work the jobs that people don't want to work. They go to the schools, they, fuel various programs. They work in menial jobs. You've been here since the 60s and you've been a domestic and you've been working for various wealthier, quote unquote, European Canadian families. And, you're one in part of their family, even though you're of a different ethnic group. When you don't integrate and you have that half foot in, half foot out kind of a philosophy, you don't end up with the same sort of social problems that, say, African Americans have. African Americans haven't been forced or forcibly integrated into the overall United States social fabric. Even if maybe they infiltrate the political structure, but in a certain stage of US history, you don't have this scenario where, Arabs by and large, or Chinese people by and large, or Sikhs by and large, or Pakistanis by and large are getting shot down in the street, right? Or being overall harassed by the power structure. Why is this? Maybe to some it seems like there's no connection, but this is an argument that's happening right now in the US. It's a misquote and something that was taken out of context from MLK, that segregation was better for black people and that integration kind of brought even if it brought a certain amount of inclusion societally, at least on paper, for blacks, that there's a larger, bigger picture that economically and that socially blacks have kind of been on the quote-unquote downfall since then, which I don't 100% agree with, but that's the argument. So when you look at these other ethnicities and how they just kind of keep to themselves, they allow their, whether it's ghettoized communities or whether it's little pockets and enclaves to exist, they overall seem to be left alone and seem to have a better experience in the grand scheme of things. Like our people, for every immigrant that kind of champions the concept of, I'm going to adopt this so-called Canadian identity, you then have others who don't even give a shit. This conversation that's happening now, this multiculturalism and diversity conversation that's happening publicly, how many people don't give a shit about it at all? It means nothing to many, right? It means absolutely nothing. And I think this is, whenever these debates and these arguments and these back and forths happen, it's important to get the overall non-politicized, socially justice-fueled and overly conservative right-wing fueled point of view. The people who are operating in the gray or the political and social climate, the people who are just kind of like, yeah, these headlines are happening, these things are happening, these policies are taking place, but I'm not letting it affect my particular, whether it's finances, resources, family, economics, whatever it is. You know how all the people in Chinatown right now who are just China / little Vietnam, little Cambodia town, they're just operating, making their money hand over fist, or maybe not hand over fist, but they're making their money, and they're not sitting around worrying about, are we being included or are we being ghettoized arguments. Now, their kids are born here, and their kids go through the school system and integrate like everybody else, and they then go on to, whether it's participate largely in the overall in the society as working in politics, whether it's community organizing, activism, nonprofit, whatever it is, they do that. And they integrate, not even necessarily from a policy standpoint, it's just you were born here. If you're born here, you're going to integrate and find your little way regardless of whatever the overarching policy is. So that's kind of, this is like the part 2 of this little rant of series of rants concerning diversity and multiculturalism. I think when you politicize these arguments too much, it doesn't really allow for a truly objective and realistic view of how minorities and immigrants are really viewing this argument. And I have some more, I don't want to say radical, but I have some more cutthroat views on this, so I'm going to drop that in the part 3. All right, peace.